Really happy to be here this weekend in Roslyn, Washington with my Converge family. Thank you for this road trip today to hook up with the Craven family who celebrate every year their history and the black coal mining families here in Roslyn, Washington, a really rich history. So excited to be here today and talk to the Craven family. Black people in Roslyn still, but came here in the late 1800s for coal mining, came to Roslyn looking for the promised land, looking for jobs being promised to them, show up to a town where, yes, black miners and miners were needed, but they didn't understand that there was also a strike that was going on at the same time. So it was real contentious when they arrived, but they thrived here. And as you see today, they're still here and celebrating here today. Landing here in Roslyn, actually thriving here in Roslyn for a number of years, but then deciding that, you know, maybe the grass was a little greener toward Yakima. So they moved toward Yakima and even to the Tri-Cities area and built homes there. And still you see rich families, rich groups of family and history there in the Tri-Cities and still in Yakima as well. The Mount Olivet Cemetery here, definitely there's a distinction between the grave sites that are there, headstones that are there and headstones that are missing, right? So you have a black cemetery, Mount Olivet here in Roslyn, Washington. And sadly, it's not in the best condition. You know, you saw it today, and hopefully with some effort with the community here in Roslyn and Black Heritage Society and maybe to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, we can support some energy around, you know, helping to sustain the cemetery. It's our history, right? We're rooted here in Washington State. There's so much that is buried here about black people, and unless we do that digging and correct all of those narratives that are out there about our history in Washington State, then we don't have it. So it's important to be here to tell these stories, collect these stories, and then we preserve the stories at BHS.
Growing up with my dad, being the second oldest of his kids with my mom, getting to like come and see all of my family. This is kind of the only time I really got to see my family because I grew up over here and all of them kind of grew up on the west side or in Georgia and everything. So it's really important to like get to see family and get to see family traditions that were passed on from his older sister and to see like, you know, all the family coming together and being one. You know, this town's really important to me. I've been here all my life. So I want to keep this tradition going for all the younger generations. Their dad just came up here expecting work, a new life, and then it turns out, you know, it was actually for breaking a strike and everything. But my grandmother, his mom, was born up here. She was born in the Roslyn area. So, you know, even though the Cravens technically haven't been here for that long, our family has been here since the beginning of the town, which is really just amazing. We're very lucky enough to have a room up in Suncadia named after us with a few of the other families like the Owens. So it's very nice and it's very important that people learn about our history, about African Americans actually getting to live up here. A lot of people don't know that. It's very surprising when you see black people up here.
The story about Grandma Harriet in this house here, which is a 12-room boarding house, she bought it in the 1920s for, I believe it was $2,000. And she lived in it when she died. My mother had all of her children, 12 children there. And this is the period here, Harriet Jackson, when she first came to Roslyn. And this is her son, and this is a friend of hers. This is her right here. Harriet right here.
The man in the skirt is a son.
It's Fred.
His name's Fred.
Boys used to wear skirts till almost 14. She came 1888. When it wasn't a state, it was a territory. Yeah, she came on a train with her best friend. And later she homesteaded 2 and some acres. And this is my mother, Ethel Craven Williams. And this is her sister, Dorothy. Dorothy.
And that's
And this is
that's
Williams.
yeah, that's her. Isn't that when she got older?
Yeah.
That's what she looked like there.
And that's
This
when
is
she
as
got a little older. And that's my mother, daddy. And that's my mother when she's a baby and her daddy's older than her.
Clifford Williams.
Williams.
And that's Mrs. Craven, right
Ethel
there.
Craven right
Ethel-
there. And this is the man in the middle is Mr. Shepperson, who brought the blacks to Roslyn.
That's Mr. Shepperson.
That's the one. He had a club. That's where he's out sitting at. An all men's club. I thought he was a traitor.
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 Traitor. Traitor.
Because he didn't tell people the truth when he went to hire them. He just said good wages, good jobs. He didn't tell them they were going to break the strike till they got to Colorado. So he's a dirty, low-down so-and-so. I think they probably paid him for that because he knew the lawyer for the railroad.
The lawyer and his son were very close.
And the reason is that Mr. Shepperson grew up on the lawyer's plantation. So I wonder why he did it, that they had become friends over the years, and when he needed somebody, then I wasn't as angry with him, when I understood it was his friend. Steady work, good wages, leave from St. Paul, Minnesota, comfortable accommodations, I don't know if they were or not on the railroad. But he didn't say nothing about breaking the strike. For me, it gives me a chance to meet a lot of my family I haven't seen for a long time. Plus, it's historical. It's my mother. I have an article here where my mother said it started. She remembers 1917 they had it. It was called the Emancipation Picnic. But then in 1978, when they started it back, they called it the Black Pioneer Picnic. But my mother said that it had started around 1917. She could remember, and so that it was started to honor the emancipation, but it just changed to a name to the where we meet everybody and friends, and anybody can come, and it gives us a chance to also for the young people to sort of get renewed with their black history, and that's what's important for me because I get a chance to talk to them. People get a chance to talk to them while we're here, whether they want to hear it or not. Okay, and so they learn their history and know where they come from. Because if you don't know where you come from, you may not know where you're going.
This is our annual picnic, which started in 1988. And today is another day. Today is 13th of August, 2020 what?
22.
2022. We're still having the picnic.